With Suzy, and this is the end of our session. This is Suzy's roadmap to success. Now, before I start just kind of summarizing the stuff we go over, I'm going to go over some of the things we just got done talking about so you have them on camera. So basically, Suzy does not like being picked up to have this harness put on. And from talking with the guardian, I think that a lot of what's going on is that she takes Suzy out, she goes out, yeah, you can have the big chunk. She goes to Wags, which is her favorite daycare. She loves going there. But she also takes her out sometimes to lunch and dinner with some friends. And these are busy cafes that probably have a lot of stuff going on and make her feel a little uneasy. And then sometimes there's dogs there and she reacts. Now, the guardian's like, sometimes she just sits there for a while and then eventually she reacts. Eventually reaches a tipping point. But there seems to be a commonality. She likes being, her pajamas being put on. She doesn't like her sweaters being on. Pajamas are put on when she stays here. Sweaters are put on when she leaves the house. And so even though she does go to Wags and enjoys that, I think the lunches and dinners and stuff probably are things that she's just really not a big fan of. Problem is she has separation anxiety, so we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. So what I'd like the guardian to do is practice getting her on the harness. I mean, the video above is a really long video. She just was, she has an aversion to it. So basically, since she doesn't mind being picked up to put on the bed, because being put on the bed is something that mom does before they go to bed. They don't put her on the bed and then take her out of the house. But she does allow her to pick her up, so we're going to use that construct. So what I would do is I would have the harness and so plenty of treats in an easy to reach place, or get a treat pouch. This is the mini treat pouch from PetSafe if you want to get the one that I have. And so basically I have it loaded up with treats. Go in your bedroom and whatever you want to say is night-night or whatever the word means, go to the bedroom. Then I want you to come up with a new cue that is exclusively for being picked up. And so what you're going to do is you're going to say elevator or lift or whatever the word is, pick her up, put her on the bed, say yes or click, and then give her a treat. And then you can kind of sit down in the bed or pick her up, put her back down, and then repeat. Now, picking her up and putting her back down is not something we need to work on marking and rewarding. That's not something we need to worry about. But picking her up and getting on the bed is something. Picking her up is something she has a problem with. So then pick her up, put her back on the bed. Do that maybe 5 or 10 times. And then take her down and then go back and watch TV or do whatever you want, not going for a walk. So do that for about a week, just getting her used to hearing the word elevator or lift or whatever the word you want. And mom picks me up, she puts me on the bed, and then I hear yes, then I get a treat. And eventually you want to be able to start trying, after a week or so, see if you can pick her up and put her here. Now if she moves away from you, stop. Don't keep pushing it. We're hoping that eventually you're going to get to that point where we're going to have to go at slow and we're going to have to go at her pace. Isn't that right, sweetie? All right, so I'd also like you to pick her harness up after the first week, put it on the bed, and hide some treats underneath it. Once you put her, and then pick her up on the bed, and then she goes over, she's nudging it. She's approaching the harness, she's touching the harness, she's getting treats, but you're not putting the harness on her. So she's getting used to interacting with it. And that's the second week. Now after that, you can also start doing the CER. So I do the harness, and do that for a couple days, then maybe do the harness, sit down in the bed for a minute, just kind of relax, give her some nice pets, and then you might go ahead and do what we did in the video above. So one arm is behind you with the leash. Make sure it's all gathered up so it's not going to flop around. And then have your other hand full of treats. So you flash it out. When she looks at it, you say yes, it goes away, and then she gets a treat. Do that for like about 8 to 10 repetitions. Then the next time you do it, hold it out and ask for a little bit of a look at first, and then after the second or third rep, she's got to lean towards it. She has to touch it all right, but just lean towards it a little bit. And then you say yes. When she leans a little bit, it goes away and she gets a treat. Yes, talking about you, sweetie. And eventually you want to hold it out and she's got to actually touch it with her nose. And then you're going to take it away and give her a treat. Now, eventually I'd like you to put the harness on the bed the way you did on your chair. So you have it kind of the way that it is going to go on her. So if I undid it, it would be hanging out. And you're going to lure her, so all she has to do is step on the harness. Now first she's going to avoid stepping on the harness. So don't worry about stepping in the holes. All she has to do is step on the harness. Even a pinky toenail hits the harness, yes, and give her a treat. So you're going to hold the treat and lure her and try to get her to walk on top of it. And then as soon as she does, say yes and release the treat. And then do that for about 10 or 15 treats. And she doesn't have to step on it all the way. Gradually, she'll get better and better at it. She'll step on it easier with less fanfare. And once she's stepping on it pretty much with gusto, then lure her so she has to put her paw so it hits the hole. And the first time she does that, then give her a treat. If she moves around, that's okay. You're not putting the harness on her. All we're going to do is first nosing it, then touching it with my nose when you're swinging it around, and then you're putting it down the ground. Then you're luring it to step on it and then step in the holes. And eventually she steps in both holes. And then that's when you say yes and give her a treat. Then you put it on her, attach, then give her a treat, take it off, and repeat. You want to repeat that process without putting the leash on, without taking her for a walk, just getting her used to putting that on. So once you get to the point where she can do it in the bedroom, I'd like you to see if you can do it over here too, and on that chair. Now you have some mobility issues, so do it wherever you can, but it has to be a big surface where she has some space so she feels comfortable. And the idea with that is we want her just to get comfortable with this gear going on and not the next thing that's happening. All right, and I think you stopping going out, taking her out to restaurants and stuff is also going to help with that. Also try to take her out to car rides to your friend's house. I know your friend lives probably nearby, but drive over there. So let's start, when we get to the point where we can put the harness on, let's start making it where the harness goes on and we take you to places that you like going. I don't think she has a problem with the harness itself. It's when you put the harness on, because the dog walker can put it on without any problem. Now, one of the other exercises we did that's a little unusual for me is I had you using the clicker, and the clicker's not unusual, but basically just practicing having her come to you. So she comes, but she stands offish, and she sits, but she sits away. So what I wanted you to do is have a handful of treats in the clicker, and you can have her up on here, or if she's on the ground, ask her to come to you. So your hand is here. I like to have a 90-degree bend. I'm holding it out towards the dog. When I say her Suzy, when she looks, that's when I lower my hand, and that will cause her to come to you. So you're gonna have your hand up like this. When you say Suzy, when she looks at you, you say come and lower your hand simultaneously. Come here, sweetie. Let's put you on my lap. Oh, yes.
She's trying to get down.
I know you're trying to get down, but this video is going to be better if you're in the video with me. And you're probably just going to go bark at the door. And so basically, so you're holding it out, saying her name to get her to look at you. When she looks at you, at the instant she looks, say, come and lower your hand. And when she comes to you, then you click and let her have the treat. If she remains there, then touch a treat to her nose, arc it over her head, and say sit. Say sit as you arc it. Now, remember, some of the times when you give her cues, you say sit, come. So don't say it in a rude way, but say sit, come, very crisp and just say it once. And when she comes, you click or say yes and give her a treat. Then she gets to move away if she wants to. But if you do this enough, she should come to you, click, get the treat for come, and then tell her to sit, click, and give her a treat for that. And if you're using this bed or the couch, then walk over here, ask her to come over here, and then click and give her a treat, and then sit and give her the treat. All right, you want to get down? I'll let you get down if you want to get down. I don't want to force you to stay where you don't want to. But I do have more treats over here. Yes, I see you licking your lips for one of those treats. There you go. All right, so I'd like you to do that, on the couch and on your bed, but also in different parts of your house, just getting her to come to you. Now, don't combine it with the picking up stuff at first. Eventually, you would like to combine those things together once all of them are done easily and she's coming to you. But I want you to try to avoid going to her, especially if she moves away. The more that you reward her for coming to you, the less she's going to feel like that need to move away. Now, a great way to do this is that celebrate game that we talked about. Celebrating is when she comes to you on her own, just saying yes and giving her a pet or a treat. So I'll do it right now. I'll wait for her to do something I like. So if she sits or looks up at me or lays down, then I'm going to say, Mark, and give her the treat. But when we do the celebrate game, we don't tell them what to do. We just wait. So I'm watching her out of the corner of my eye. She's looking around, but she is not looking up at me. And when she does, then I'm going to say yes and then give her that treat. But I'm not influencing her to do it. Now, is it wrong to tell your dog to sit and give them a treat? No, not at all. But when the dog chooses to do it on their own, yes. And I mark and reward. Every time I lay down, Mom says yes and gives me a treat or pets me or attention. Every time I sit, every time I go to my dog bed, every time I drop something, every time I poop outside, every time I watch somebody walk by without barking, Mom should say yes and reward. Remember, yes or the click is your way of saying, you just did what I want, a reward is now coming. Now, one of the other problems that she has is barking at dogs in the car. Now, the problem with that is I think she's probably a little bit on edge in the car because of the harnessing and the stuff we talked about earlier. I could be wrong about that one, but in the car she's somewhat trapped. She can't move around. And so if a dog approaches her, she's got nowhere to back up to. Dogs have a fight, flight, or freeze response. She can't flight because she's in the car. She's not a freezer, so she barks to tell the other dog to go away. Sometimes when dogs bark, we like to do what we call is an incompatible behavior. So for dogs, having something in their mouth is incompatible behavior, but also licking is an incompatible behavior for barking. So what I would do is get a spoon, put peanut butter on it, pack the peanut butter on it. Make sure if you're using peanut butter, it does not have xylitol. Xylitol spelled with an X, it is toxic to dogs. So get Skippy or Jif, those are both safe peanut butters. So, and after I do this I start freezing the spoon so it lasts longer, especially on a hot day in Southern California. A little packet or something, okay. So what I would do then is you have to recruit a dog that she doesn't know that is a friend of yours' dog. Don't do it at your house because that's her territory. She's more likely to guard here. So what you're going to do is drive somewhere, maybe your friend's house, and you're sitting outside. And then basically, if let's say the dog's going to be coming from there, we want that dog to start walking towards you from a real big distance. There's going to be a certain distance when the dog gets close enough that she's going to say it's too close and she's going to react. So we need to start this without her reacting, which means more distance. So you might have to bark and park several houses away. Before I go through the instructions of this, also be noteworthy of your environment. LA is a very busy urban setting. We often filter out a helicopter above, a car beeping as it's backing up, people doing construction, kids yelling, people having an argument, somebody doing a weed eater. Those are all things that are stressors that can contribute to her anxiety. She already has a difficulty with the dog approaching her. If we add extra things, that's going to make her more likely to explode and have an outburst. So if somebody's walking by with a weed eater, drive it and say, we'll come back in 5 minutes and work on it later. Work as easy as you can. So what we're going to do is, let's say that the camera is the other dog, and the other dog is with their handler on leash and like 20, maybe 50 feet away. You're talking to them on your phone in your car so you can tell them what to do. And so, and you're going to basically, let's say the sidewalk is running here, my car's here in the street, this is the sidewalk, and this is where the dog's coming from. So basically, and when the dog comes out of the house, you see it, I would hold up the spoon. If I'm Suzy, you can hold the spoon and get me to look wherever you want by moving that spoon with peanut butter. So you're going to hold it up so she's looking at the other dog as it's approaching. She's licking the peanut butter. When she stops licking the peanut butter, she is about to explode. She has reached her limit or the proximity, closeness that she can handle. So as soon as that's the case, tell your friend, stop, turn around, and walk away. And as soon as they turn around, you would take the peanut butter away. The important thing is we don't want her to react at all. So you got to find whatever distance. It might be 150 yards. That's probably way too far, but find a good distance. What we want is the dog is approaching, she's licking. It releases oxytocin, serotonin into her brain. So licking actually is, when another dog approaches, I get this delicious peanut butter. And when I'm getting to the point where I'm uncomfortable and I'm about to start barking, mom stops the dog from approaching because you're talking in front of the phone. They turn around and walk away or walk behind a car so that she can't see that dog anymore. And as soon as they walk away, the peanut butter stops. So after a while, the dog approaching means they get peanut butter. The dog walking away means the peanut butter ends. Since I'd rather have peanut butter, can we get the dog to walk closer? And that's the common mistake that a lot of people make, is they let the dog walk too close until she reacts and says, okay, go away. That ruins all your practice. What we're looking for is, let's say she starts at 50 feet away and she's able to walk to 40 feet away and then she grumbles or stops licking it. You say stop, they walk back to 50 feet or they walk out of sight. You reload, get the peanut butter ready, and repeat that a couple times. And ideally, you'd like to have her coming from as many different angles as you can, but logistic purposes on a street, you're probably only going to be able to get a couple, but do as much variety as you can. So let's say I'm able to go on the grass between the street and the sidewalk, on the grass between the sidewalk and the house. Maybe we get 2 or 3 angles that way. So now we've had the dog approach us for 4 or 5 different ways. They start at 50 feet, they stop at 40 feet, turn around and walk away. After the 3rd or 4th time, Suzy's kind of like getting into this, is like, okay, this is cool. Nothing bad is happening. So she's not as tense. So then you go, after you do all 5 angles, you go back to the first angle, but this time instead of stopping at 40 feet, you go to 38 feet or 39 feet. You go 1 or 2 steps closer, and then they stop and turn around. And then you do all the other angles. It's okay, sweetie. You do all the other angles, again, at 48 or 9 feet, and then go back to the first one, and then maybe you go to 45 feet. Keep on doing this, and you're going to gradually get closer and closer. But we don't want her to bark. Thank you. That's what we don't want. The barking means we went too far, too fast. What we're looking for this experience is we want to create an experience where she has the dog approach us however many times they can, but with zero barking. And then you go home, and then you come back the next time, and you do the same thing. So let's say you went from 50 to 40 feet the first time, and then 48, 47, 45, and at 45, she's starting to have difficulty, and you're seeing stress, so you get a good repetition in, and then you end it. So we ended at 45 feet. Next time you come back, I might start at 47 feet. I'm not going to go all the way back to 50, but I'm not going to start where we're at. I'm going to go a little bit easier than where the hardest part that we got before. Maybe I go from 48, 47, 46, 45, 44. You just said sit, so remember to say sit. Now when you're doing that, I'm watching you right now, so you're kind of holding your hand out like this. What you want to do is the dog's here, you want to approach them horizontally and then arc over their head, like a croissant shape. Now, you're going just up, so like this. Watch me real quick. Watch me real quick. You're going like this, you want to go like this. A little bit lower, in front of her nose. And now arc it over her head. And then go arc it. So start at her nose, say sit, and then arc. So you're arcing first. So touch her nose with it. Keep it at her nose. Hold it tight. Don't lower it. Say sit, then lure it.
Sit.
Then lure over her head.
She's not going to sit. Sit. Don't lick me.
So lure it over. So say sit, then make that croissant shape with your hand.
Sit.
And then croissant shape. Raise it up. Raise it up.
Nope.
Now, right now, you're having difficulty. A couple of things. You're going like this, or you're going up.
Sit.
You just need to say sit, then go. The other thing is you're doing it right in front of the door. There was somebody at the door or somebody outside the door. So she's kind of split in two different things. So you're making it harder there. Just like I talked about not doing the exercise when there's weed eaters and other stuff. It's hard for her to sit. It's harder for her to sit because now she's at the door. So if she's having difficulty listening to you, ask yourself, is there more elements going on? So in this one, it's a hot day. We have a door open, but closing the door would make it easier. Don't have to close the door here, but look for ways to make it easier. So the idea is, going back to the spoon, is we want to have these experiences. At first she walks from 50 to 40 feet while she's licking the spoon, then they go away. Then eventually it's 48 to 35 feet. And this is arbitrary numbers. The jump is going to be different. But eventually that dog's going to be able to walk closer and closer to your car, and she's sitting there licking the peanut butter the whole time. And eventually the dog gets all the way to your car, and then she's like, okay, dogs approaching the car is a good thing. Now, each dog is going to be different. So if you use one dog over and over again, you're going to probably find another one and another one. So the idea for these things is you're changing her emotional response. So instead of saying, I'm going to bark at things to get them to go away, when the scary thing comes towards me, I get something good. But we go so slow. We don't go so fast that she gets scared and she reacts. That's the one thing we want to avoid. Now, there are a number of other sounds that she barks at. She barks at the sea, and she hears dogs walking by outside. She barks at certain sounds outside. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know. Amazon deliveries or whatever. So if there's a certain dog that she barks at it when it walks by, peek out the window and look at your clock. Okay, it's 1:15, and it's Sunday. All right, next Sunday at 1 o'clock, I'm going to set a reminder. I'm going to be looking. Does that dog come by at 1:15 again? A lot of people have regular schedules. So if you find that dog comes by it every day at 1:15 or every Sunday, next Sunday be out there at 1:10. And just say, hey, my dog, I have this little Chiweenie, he likes to bark at sounds, and I'm trying to make recordings of the sounds he barks at to get him to stop barking. Do you mind if I walk with you? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to record just the audio of it. Put your phone on video or whatever, and just walk with him, point the end of your phone where the speaker is, and the microphone is, towards the dog, and just walk by your house. Try not to have him, don't talk to the person. You just want a clean recording of the jingling of the collar or the dog's footsteps or the person or the truck or whatever it is. Get as long a recording as you can with good quality. Then what you want to do is play that when she's eating her food. Now you're going to play it at a very low volume. If she stops eating her food, it's probably too loud. So go back until you find a volume that's low enough where she can listen while she eats her food. This is the combination of desensitization and counter conditioning together. The next meal, raise it up slightly, volume-wise, till eventually, after 5 or 10 or 15 meals, it's as loud as it can go on your phone. But your phone does not have very good fidelity of the audio. You need to get a Bluetooth speaker or something. So ask a friend if maybe your daughter, if she has, or son or whatever, if they have one you could borrow if you don't want to get one. But the idea is to play it louder and louder until eventually it sounds like that dog is stomping through your living room and she's just oblivious to it. You've desensitized her and counter-conditioned. Make a list of all of the sounds that she does and just work on one or two of them at a time. Then you get to cross them off the list. Eventually you get to the point where there's aren't these stressors that cause her to feel frustrated. Would you like another one? Yes. Now, right there, I want her to get on the couch. But I know it was hard for her to get on the couch. So I asked her to get partially up on the couch. And then when she did, I said, why, yes, and she got a treat. So I'm sure I have one. I'm asking for more criteria. Yes, now I asked for her to lean on the couch a little bit more. And this is kind of a theme of what we went through. A lot of us, we go straight to the end. And it's too much for the dog. Well, what I do is go at slow. There we go. Yes. This is what I wanted. I wanted her on the couch. I offered, she came, she approached and leaned a little bit more, and the third time she jumped up on her own. This is the beauty of helping dogs, and this is what we did in the video above. We're letting her just look at it, then lean towards it, then touch it with her nose, then we're moving our hand towards it and a little bit closer, but we're going at her pace and level by level by level. Most of us go at our pace, yes, and that's where it becomes a problem because we move too fast, and the dog gets scared or spooked, and then the end of the experience is of a negative. All right, now let's talk about the stuff we went over, and anything else you want me to cover, I'll be happy to. But right there, what I just did was something called celebrating, which I talked about earlier. Celebrating is rewarding Suzy when she does the things that you want without you asking her to do it. Every time she comes to you, say yes and click, or give her a treat or a pet. Now the problem is she's staying a little bit away from you. I think if the harness is not there, then you won't have the staying away part. So we just want to know, every time you come towards me, I say yes, and I pet you under the chin. I like getting pet under the chin. Coming to mom gets me the pets, and I'm choosing to do it on my own.
She is dead looking at me.
Well, you're also sitting right in front of the door. I think she's looking at the door.
She's looking at me.
It could be. But she's also, I think, on guard because she doesn't know what her job is. So she has nominated herself to be Sheriff Suzy. But just like your grandkids who don't listen to you, that makes her frustrated when she tells you, don't open the door, that guy in the blue shirt looks scary, and you let him in. What are you doing? And that causes her the same anxiety you get when you watch your grandchild do things that might be dangerous, that he doesn't know are going to harm him. That's kind of what's going on in her brain. Celebrating is how we can help her recognize that that's not her job anymore. Her job now is to sit, to come to you, to lay down, to go to her dog bed, to drop items, to poop outside, to pee outside. So any of the things that she does that you like, when she does it, say yes, and pet her under her chin. You can tell her to sit. If she sits, say yes and pet her on her chin, but that's not celebrating. That's different. Celebrating is just celebrating when she chooses to do it without any influence from you. And what you'll find is she'll start doing those things more and more often to get your attention. Now, that is an ask. Yes, she wants more pets. And I'm happy to oblige. She asked and I gave it to her. Now, sometimes if a dog was standing, when she did that, I might tell her to sit. If she does that to you and she's standing, tell her to sit. When she sits, say yes, and then the pets happen. So I'm just saying, hey, if you want to do that, you gotta do something for me. What is she doing? She's practically listening to you and following what you did. That creates a healthy leader-follower dynamic is what I call it. So the more that you ask her to do something before you give her affection, and if you ask her to sit and she doesn't sit, you go back to doing what you're doing. I watched you ask her to sit 15 or 16 times. Remember, all attention for dogs is rewarding. So if they don't do it, and we keep on saying it over and over again, yes, that's celebrating as well. I get more attention for not doing what you want them for what you want. From now on, I'm going to ask you to sit once. If you sit, I pet you, and if you don't sit, I'm on to the next thing. I'm not punishing you, but she's the one missing out. Now, this works also cooperatively with the other stuff that we've gone over. Asking her to sit and playing the game that we went over makes it easier for her to sit. I think she thinks this means sit, not sit. The verbal cue. So remember, you hold the treat to her nose, say sit, then lure. You're saying sit. You're doing the lure, this cue afterwards. Remember, the cues are the directions. If you're telling me to take a left turn, you can't tell me to take the left turn after we've passed the intersection. That's what you're doing when we say sit. So say sit, then lure. Then when she does it, say yes, and then give her the treat. If she doesn't do it, take a couple steps away and practice again. So celebrating is a really sneaky, powerful way to get her conditioned to doing other things rather than being such a guard dog. It will also increase her confidence. She is a Chiweenie. She did not get puppy classes. She's a little insecure. Shaking off like that is a way of releasing anxiety, by the way. So if there's something stressful going on, make sure you do that for her. Now, if she's barking and freaking out, try not to tell her not to do it because she's overwhelmed with her emotions. She doesn't have the ability to do that. And so that was great. So remember, just say yes once, though.
Yeah, now she's
there you go. So she walked on the bed, Mom said yes, and then she started walking off, and then Mom said, or then she was still there, Mom said yes the second time, then she sat down, she said yes. Now, the setting down, you can say yes for that as well, but the more that we reward her for the things that she does that we like, the more she's going to be comfortable with those. And so the more she's going to offer those behaviors to get our attention. Now, we also started the session by incorporating a marker word. We've been saying yes the whole time. Yes and the clicker are your ways of saying good dog in a way that she understands. That was perfect. Now, normally when you say yes, you would follow it up almost always with a pet, a treat, or affection. But right now, Mom is on this side of the room. The dog bed is over here. If she says yes and gets up to go pet her or give her a treat, she's going to get up. So in this case, we can make a rare exception and just say yes when she lays down there without giving her a treat. If you have one, if you could throw a treat, that's great. But the bag that the treats are in right now, if you crinkle that bag, it's going to cause her to get up and come to you. So it'll kind of defeat you. So a lot of times I like to have, you have the little thing for her wipes. Clean that out when you're done. Keep that a little jar that you put treats in. Have little caches of treats all over your place. When I crinkle the bag, that disturbs the dog. Now, sometimes I like to use that at other times. I might have an empty bag in the pocket of my jacket when I'm walking the dog, and the dog doesn't listen to me. I crinkle the bag. Whoa, you have treats? So that's a classically conditioned response as well. So remember, we need you to walk around, and this, please try to remember that by the time you see this, you should have already done this. You want to walk around, you're going to drop a treat on the ground, or say, give it to her, or you're going to click, then give her the treat, or drop a treat on the ground and have your finger on the clicker waiting. Right before she licks it up, you click, and then she licks it up. Remember, they're right next to each other, but not at the same time. Now, if you can, just put it in her mouth. I would just say yes and put it in her mouth, but with mobility issues, if you have to throw it on the ground, that's fine. So just throw it on the ground, wait for her to be right about to lick it up, say yes, then she licks it up. That creates that association. So do that with the clicker as well, so that because the clicker will eventually, when you pull out that clicker, she's going to be like, it's on like Donkey Kong. And then you can walk around your house, sit. She sits, click, give her a treat, walk somewhere else, sit, give her a treat, or come. So I want her to practice sitting, which puts herself at a disadvantage near you, and get to the point where she sits here, not when you say sit, she takes 3 steps back and sits. I also want you to get to the point, get her used to comfortable to coming to you. So you say come, and she comes to you, and you click, or you say yes, and give her a treat or a pet. That'll make her more inclined to want to do those in the future. We also went over Cookie in the corner. That's where I was throwing the treats on the ground, but she gets so much exercise, I don't think she really needs that. So if I don't link it above and you want to do it, let me know. But for the dog walker, I would love it if you can see if you can get the dog walker to take her out for a sniffari. I can't say it. Safari? Sniffari. And so what you're going to do is take her out and encourage her to sniff. Right now, when I walked her, she did not sniff very much. She sniffed a tiny little bit. Sniffing builds dogs' confidence. It is enjoyable for them, and it drains almost twice as much energy if they sniff on a walk than if they don't. So sometimes with dogs that don't sniff, I do something called the long walk. And you might look at the timestamp of this video and send a link to your dog walker and say, watch this video at 12:38 or whatever it is. So this is the part that you would watch. So what I do is I walk out on the lawn, and stop after about 10 paces or so, hold the leash, and have a treat in your hand. Let her go any direction she wants, but don't move your feet. And just stay in that. You can circle, pivot, but don't let her move on, because she's ready to move forward. And I think the running, although it's a good workout, she's not sniffing, and that's what she should be doing as a dog. So I'd like you to stop until she starts sniffing the ground. And it's not the sniffing you're waiting for, you're going to wait for the check-in. Or you can wait for the sniffing, I guess, as well. But usually what I do is I wait for the dog to look at me. When it looks at me, I say yes, and I hold the treat out. And then the dog kind of goes back to trying to be on the perimeter. But a lot of times what happens is they start getting bored and they kind of sniff the area. That's what we want her to do. Her not sniffing is causing her to look around and look for the dog or whatever the boogeyman is. So I'd like you to help promote her sniffing on the walks. Another way to do that would be have a couple of treats in small pieces about the size of a BB. And then when you get to a section of grass, actual grass, show her that you have them. If this is Sorry, Suzy, you make me sleep watching you sleep. So this is Suzy. I'm going to touch her lips with and then what the grass is here. I don't want to throw it over her head. Dogs just look up when you throw it over there. They don't understand it went over there. So lure her towards the grass and then throw a small scatter of treats in the grass. She's got to use her nose to find them, especially if you use like a salmon treat or something like that has a smell. So now she's using her nose to find them and looking for them. So I'd have you do on every block at least one little section with about 5 to 10 little pieces of treat. And when she's on a walk, if she wants to stop and sniff something, unless it's not safe to do so, stop and let her sniff. She needs to slow down and start smelling the roses. She's just so hyper of going to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and she's never enjoying the moment. And so I really would like her to see her sniffing more, and again, not looking for the other dog, but just simply sniffing and just waiting for that, to find another treat, or smelling the roses, or watching the birds fly overhead, or whatever it is. All right. I'd also like you to start asking her to do something before you pet her. There's a technique that's called nothing in life is free, which means you don't pet your dog in any circumstances unless you tell it to do something and it does it for you first. That I think is extreme, but she has problems listening to mom all the time. So what I'd like to, walking around the house, I call it training for attention. That's where you have the treats. You ask her to come, she comes to you, click and give her a treat. Tell her to sit, she sits, you click and give her a treat, take 2 steps away and do that again. After a while, you're going to find she's going to follow you around and she's going to be like sitting and right away. If she sits, then walk away. You have to ask her to do it. Celebrating is fine. I love celebrating, but I don't celebrate. The only one time I don't celebrate is when I'm teaching another lesson. So if I ask you for a down and you sit, I'm not going to celebrate the sit because I'm asking for something specifically and it's different, and that's confusing for the dog. A lot of us, we do it to be nice. All right, let me think. What else? What else do we cover? I talked about ordering a snuffle mat, so feed him on the snuffle mat. A lot of people leave food out once the dog gets done eating. As soon as she walks away from the snuffle mat, pick it up and put it up somewhere. So you eat when the food is presented, and you can take as long as you want. But as soon as you walk away, the food goes away. That's what happens in nature. If she kills something and eats a little bit and says, I'm going to walk to the beach, by the time she comes back, a cat, coyote, squirrel, something else is going to eat it. And so when dogs walk away from the food, they're saying, I'm done with it. We often, when dogs don't eat, we give them too much access to the food, which also makes them eat less. So we want to have her seeing you more as an authority figure. I'd also like you to take some of her kibble, and I'd like you to run it through your hands and then put it in a separate container, and that's what you feed her with. Let's put a little bit of your scent on her food. Just again, it's not marking it, but just making you a little bit more powerful. The lick mat. Put the lick mats down and just have her use the lick mats a couple times for no reason. But then, if there's a lot of kids walking by, it's summertime, so we don't have school, but if there's construction or something like that, giving her a lick mat allows her to release those feel-good endorphins, and it gives her something to do. So that may be something for you to do, like when you have a repairman over or something along those lines. Now, she's grumbling right now. I always tell my clients, never disagree with your dog for grumbling or growling. That's just the dog's way of saying, I feel comfortable about something, I disagree. Yeah, sure. If I keep on disagreeing when she disagrees, eventually she'll stop disagreeing. The disagree is a warning. We like the warning because it tells us something's going on. Eventually you'll condition her not to give a warning and just go straight to a bite. She's already in a panic mode and she's lunging at other dogs when she has too much. She's having an emotional outburst. We don't need to have her practicing in other situations as well. So getting used to that lick mat in the house, and then when you have a delivery driver, somebody come by, have one of those ready to go. Slide her a little peanut butter, put it down, she's over there licking it. I'd bark at you right now, but I'm taking care of some business. Speaking of peanut butter, the pill, or what was the thing that I was saying to put the peanut butter in her mouth before you, wipe for her eyes. So she's got that special medication for eyes. So get a little dollop of peanut butter, give it to her first. She's going to be it's on her mouth, and then while she's doing that, wipe her eyes. And when she gets done with that, I would get a higher value treat like a salmon or something like that. Give her 1 or 2 pieces of that afterwards. So we're saying, yes, I'm messing with your eyes, but afterwards, during you get peanut butter, and afterwards you get some really delicious treats. After a while, you don't have to do that as much, but you have to get them in a habit of doing it first. And that peanut butter, since she likes peanut butter, will kind of keep her occupied. So she's doing other things. She's a little distracted. It makes it easier for you to wipe her eye. Let me see, what else? When you come and go, don't make a big deal. Don't say, hey, Suzy, how you doing? Or are you going to be okay? Just get your stuff and leave. When you return back, don't say anything that she's excited. Wait for her to calm down. When she comes back, if she's calm, reach to pet her, she gets excited, pull back. A lot of us confuse excitement for happiness when it comes to dogs. Whenever she gets a level 5, I like to see 0's asleep, 10 is as crazy as she gets. Whenever she gets a level 5, you should disengage with her. Whether she's having a good time or not, doesn't matter. Her energy is too high. That's when mistakes happen. Separation anxiety is a panic attack the dog goes into when, for lack of being left home, practice being home alone when they're young. The way that I fix this is I create a sanctuary, a room that the dog likes to go into. For 3 months, I don't close that door. But I feed the dog in there. I introduce new toys for the dog in there. Sometimes I take a bully stick and I'll drill a hole through it, and I'll take a zip tie and zip it to a dumbbell. The only place you can chew on it is in there. Door's open. You don't have to go in there. I don't tell them to go in there. But dogs kind of patrol your house everywhere. It's like, oh, there's a bully stick here. I didn't know there was a bull penis. I'm going to chew on this. She's choosing to go into the room. Something good is happening, and she gets to leave whenever she wants because you're not closing the door. What we want her to do is get to the point where she's choosing to go into that room and sleeping or hanging out on her own. And the way I achieve this is I use go to the dog bed. So when I say go to the dog bed, if this is the dog bed and the dog's here, I say bed. Now I like to have fun names. My dog bed is called Jamaica. So come up with a funny name. Because dogs can read your facial expression. You laugh, that motivates them to want to do it. So I hold the dog treat, so it's the dog's facing the bed. I say Jamaica, and I throw the treat on the far side of the bed. When the dog steps on the bed with all 4 paws, I say yes. Dog gets the treat, and then it comes off, and I repeat that. I keep repeating that about 10 or 12 times. And eventually it gets to the point where the second or third time I practice, every 4th treat, or every 5th treat, I throw one, she rolls over, I say yes, she looks at the treat, she vacates it. But after the second or third time, then I would throw 4 like that, one individually. Then I would say a fake throw, Jamaica. And then if she goes over there, I say yes, then I give her the treat from my other hand. So we want to transition from always having to throw the treat, to now we're saying the cue, but remember you always say the cue first, then throw the treat. Eventually you say cue, she goes over here on her own, then you say yes and give her the treat afterwards. Once you can do that and get her to go there verbally, then what I do is I start asking her to go to the dog bed from 1 step away, then from 2 steps away, 3 steps away. Eventually this dog bed is in the sanctuary, and she's in the living room, and I say go to the dog bed, and she's running into the sanctuary. I want literally hundreds, if not thousands of practice runs of her running into that room and something good happening. So if you put a treat on her dog bed, take her out here and say, Jamaica, she runs in there, and you can say yes if you have a camera set up when she goes in the room, she licks up a treat. Now she's going in there, she's voluntarily going in there, and good things are happening when she does. I also would get her a lick mat, set that up in there. New toys in there. I do some training, the sit and up and down, the stuff that we were going over, do that in there. Try to find 10 things a day where she goes in there and good things happen. I teach dogs to stay. At first I say stay, and I go through distractions. I can share a video on stay if you want. But eventually, when I release the dog, and the dog's in the room, I say release, I'm right there, and they take 1 step, and I say yes, and give them a treat. I also do it the other way, where I have the dog stay in the living room. I go in the sanctuary. The dog's staying in here. They're staying by themselves. They're being calm. And then when I say release, they run into the sanctuary because that's where I'm in. Again, we want thousands of times of running into the sanctuary. After about a month or 2, you'll notice she's just kind of patrolling it. Eventually, she's kind of sometimes sits in there. When she sits in the sanctuary away from you, what is she doing? She's practicing being alone from you and being calm. This is the foundational element of treating separation anxiety in dogs. So it takes time and practice. Remember, the one secret to dog training is practicing when you don't need it. So the more that you do that, the more that when you do need it, the dog goes into autopilot. Let me see, what else do we cover? We also went over dog consent. Remember, if she flips her ears back, she turns away from you, she ducks her head, looks at you side-eye, or refuses to look at you, that's not disobedience. That's, I don't like what you're about to do. When she offers those, try to stop. If you go to pet her and her ears flip back, pull your arm back. If I'm talking to somebody and they say that I'm making them feel uncomfortable, and I continue doing what I'm doing that makes them feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, you're crazy, everybody should do whatever it is. If the person is telling me it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. I need to respect what they're saying. So when she turns her head away, she's saying I'm uncomfortable, the more that you disengage, the more she's going to have trust engendered in you, because when I tell them I'm uncomfortable, you listen. Now, if it's something you need to do, I do kind of a variant of what I do in the video above. I might hold a treat here, and then touch her paw, and then release a treat if I'm working on tail trimming, conditioning, or whatever it is. So we want to create that positive associations. So I do the thing when it's easy, and then I get a treat afterwards, and gradually make it harder and more difficult. So watch for those signs of consent, and if she offers a cutoff signal, if she offers one of those, then find a way to make it easier or more positive. Now remember, affirmation signals, ways the dog communicates it likes what you're doing, include nose going up, squinty, sleepy eyes, licking you, leaning against you, or putting their paw on your arm. So if you see any of those things when you're petting your dog or doing something, take note of what you're doing. They're saying, I really like this activity. Let me see. For getting back to separation anxiety, pick up your keys, grab your purse, and then put them both down and sit and watch TV. We have a departure ritual. You grab your keys, you grab your purse, you put your shoes on in a special place, you grab your glasses, you grab other stuff before you leave and go to work. Recreate those things independently, sometimes a couple of them together, but just pick up your keys and put it back down. Pick up your keys, put it back down. Like a train station, eventually the keys getting picked up doesn't mean you're leaving. So I'm not going to get worked up. Most dogs with separation anxiety start getting worked up before we leave the door. Oh, she's showered on a Sunday at this time. She sat in that chair and put her shorts on. She sat in that chair and put those shoes on. She grabbed her keys. She has this special shirt on. They recognize the things we're going to do before we leave, long before we leave. And they get worked up. So for dogs with separation anxiety, the more you can recreate those things independently without going for a walk or leaving, helps them be de-associated. And then when you do leave, try to quietly take all your stuff out your car one at a time and sit back and hang out, or have it there the night before. So when you actually do leave, you're just quietly leaving. You're not making any of those sounds of the triggers that right now tell her that we're about to leave. All right, this is a little bit longer than I normally do. Is there anything else you want me to go over?
No, I think you did a lot of things that I'm going to have to work on.
So yeah, there's a lot of practice, and for practice, keep your practice sessions 1 to 2 minutes in length. Don't go too long. A lot of us, we go too long, and then the dog gets frustrated. Also, whatever you're practicing, make sure the last repetition is successful. So let's say you're asking her to come to you, and she stops coming, and she's coming 5 feet away. Maybe walk into a location, and go to the fridge, go to your bedroom, somewhere where she likes. Then she comes to you, yes, and give her that treat, and then stop. You want to stop on the best version of the activity, because that's the brightest memory she's going to pull back on. All right, so now if you have questions about the stuff that we went over, please call or text me. I can't help you if I don't hear about it. We can work on some of the barking stuff later on, but right now we have to work on her confidence and feeling comfortable with you picking her up and interacting with her so she's not standoffish.
Okay.
Would you like another treat? Yes? Here comes Miss Suzy. Come here, Suzy.
My greediness is more important than
Yes. Well, living your life is motivation. Suzy.
piece on the ground.
Suzy.
She found it.
Suzy. Outlasting your dog, last little note while we're doing this, is really important. She knows the treat's up there. You can see she's looking for it. She wants it. Come on, Suzy. It's right here. But if I keep on saying that, come on, Suzy, it's here, she gets more attention for not doing what I want than what I want. So I might kind of just throw out another one like this and just make it a little bit more enticing and just try to outlast her. And you hear that little, that's a little bit of a under her breath, like, F you, dude, just give me the treat. All right, we'll just do one more. Suzy, we'll just show you her jumping up. This is my buddy Suzy, and this is Suzy's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, or sometimes you mean it.